Alright, stream should be live now.
Alright, let me bring Spiriax and Puri in.
Oh, excellent. Good morning, good night, and good evening, everybody. I think next up we have Alundra. So, Volagin, have something relay?
I'll just remind everybody what we're all here for. This is the Cal Fire Relief Marathon. We are here supporting the American Red Cross. We're raising money for wildfire relief efforts in the state of California, which has been kind of ravaged by wildfires for the last several years. So far, we're at over $2,000 out of our $3,000 goal, so that's fantastic because the event is continuing all the way through the end of Sunday. But yeah, a lot of good runs have already happened, and there's a lot more good ones coming up, starting in a couple minutes here with Spiriax running Alundra. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and have the floor.
Thank you. So time to not forget that. Fast disk speed.
All right, welcome to Alundra, folks. Spiriax is going to be doing the run for us, and I'm Puri_Puri. I'll be the commentator for this. So we start from new game. So let's get ready to go.
All right, I saw the video glitch that I get sometimes on the stream, but apparently it got fixed really fast, so that's good.
Yep, looks good here.
Some capture card bug, I guess. All right, so let's see. I have fastest speed on, and I have the memory card in. Let's go. Let's get going.
Okay. All right, so if you've never seen Alundra before, this is essentially a PlayStation version of Zelda. If you've never seen it, there's a brief like intro part here where we have character control for a bit. The timer did start, by the way, so person on timer, please start it.
So here... yeah, maybe I should.
No, we're good. The timer's at 34 right now.
Yeah, because I'm kind of running my own split, so I kind of forgot about the timer that actually counts, the one on stream.
Right. Well, no problem. It's about 30 seconds off, so no big deal. All right, so the first part of the game, you start off on a ship. We're playing as the main character, Alundra, and we've kind of been summoned from his hometown, wherever that is, to someplace across the sea. So the intro part of the game is where we're on this little ship, and for this, we just need to talk to some people on the ship to advance the plot a little bit. So you're only required to talk to 2 people. You talk to just some pirate in a room, and then you talk to the captain twice, and that's just enough to advance the plot over to where Alundra just lays down to sleep. So now we get this big old plot dump. Oh, looks like we're having capture card issues here. It'll be fine though. So you might have noticed that this is not in English. So Alundra was released originally as a Japanese game, and then was brought over to the West by a company called Working Designs. You may have heard of them. To North America and Europe. Officially the fastest version of Alundra is the Japanese disc version played on a PS2 with fast disc speed. There are some slight speed ups from playing it on Vita TV, but for the most part, PS2 fast disc speed Japanese is the way to go. So what's going on here is that the main character Alundra has a special power, I guess, to enter the dreams of people. So there is a spooky ghost spirit that entered the dream of Alundra before he got on the ship and pleaded for him to come over to his village to help him out because there's been mysterious deaths and bad things happening inside the village that we're going to, and the spirit thinks only Alundra can solve the town's problems. So what's going on here is this ghost that you see. This is Lars, is filling in Alundra on all the bad things that are happening in the village, and is telling him, "Hey, come across the ocean, come help us." The dude on the left is Melzus, who's an evil spirit, and you know pretty much at the very start of the game that this is the main bad guy in the game. So here Melzus is just telling us like, "Ha ha, you can't beat me." Just usual 16-bit/32-bit villain stuff. And that's essentially what this entire sequence is about. This is one of the few parts of the game where the dialogue auto advances, which is nice. You get a nice little break after the like minute and a half of inputs you have to do at the start of the run. So I think this is like four or so minutes long. And another point here on the regional differences. There's going to be quite a few differences between the Japanese version and the localized, like Western versions of this. For example, the Japanese version here has 2 lines of text per text box. And in the Western version, there's 3 lines of text. And the text in the Western versions also goes slightly slower than the Japanese version. So while the Japanese version of this auto-scroller section is done in like 4-ish minutes, the Western version is like 5.5 minutes. So there's a bunch of time lost just there. There's quite a few other differences between the regions, which we'll get to later. But so far, that's kind of the biggest one here. So here is what I call the drunk room. In this room, there's a few rooms like this in the game. The game will randomly move you in certain directions. So Spiriax intentionally jumped while he was moving to the bottom left of that room, just so that he could stay going in the direction that he actually wanted to. If he's holding down and left to go straight to those crates, then sometimes it'll just move you in the wrong direction, and that's not fast. So we have a good...
Sorry, Perry, sorry for interrupting, but I noticed my game audio dying. I'm wondering, I'm still playing. Could I perhaps like stop streaming and then try to start it to see if the game audio comes back?
I should be able to.
Will that work?
Because I believe the restreamer is just capturing the feed that you're putting out, so you should be good to restart it.
So that should work. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll try it. Because I think I have to restart and play on emulator otherwise.
Yeah, I'll tell you if we're getting feed.
Okay, so I'll try it now.
All right, bear with us, folks. Technical difficulties. You're not missing much. So all that's really happening in this sequence is that a mysterious man has saved Alundra from the shipwreck on the beach. And we'll see what happens after he saves him. Yep, good old Dr. Game Shark can fix this.
Yeah, so I realized the only way I've gotten the capture card to work. To reset the audio for it to come back. I've had to restart my computer, and this sucks so much because I just realized what's wrong with my setup. It's my SCART splitter that's causing all the trouble. But when I'm streaming myself, usually the audio doesn't go out like this, so I don't understand why.
Okay, so you think a PC reboot should fix it?
Yeah, I think so. But I think we're gonna have to run with without game audio for now, just because I can't. I don't want to like remove all the gameplay while I'm restarting the computer. So maybe I should just keep playing for a while, and then if we get some, when we get a cutscene or so, I can restart. I guess that's the only logical thing for me right now.
Okay. All right. So a good place to do that would probably be.
That's gonna take a while, I think.
Pre-Olin's Nightmare.
Yeah, I need to not only restart the stream but also reboot my computer, because that's the only thing that fixed the sound before.
Okay. How about you just restart your computer then? Because we're currently just sitting on an offline screen.
Yeah, go ahead and restart. Because we're actually even still slightly ahead of schedule, so it's not a huge deal.
Oh, okay. I'll just try a few things quick here. I hope it's gonna make a difference. Well, my God, sorry about this. Okay. So I'll restart my computer. And I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okie doke.
Good luck with that.
Purry, entertain us.
All right. I got Trivia Bot. So the category is TVO. Lieutenant Castillo on Miami Vice. He helped clean up LA after the 1992 riot. Go chat.
And then we wait for Twitch delay.
I'll just put it in chat. I don't think I even know this one. It's a TV question. Oh, okay. The answer is Edward James Olmos. Nobody wins. All right, next one. In My Cabinet is the category for 1,000. William Jennings Bryan, Thomas R. Marshall. I guess this is a U.S. president cabinet? Sure. And the answer is Woodrow Wilson. Nobody got it again. Rip.
Dang, dude, those coming hot and heavy.
All right, this one's easy. $400. Philately Fun. In 1847, Ben Franklin was on the front of one of the first U.S. stamps to have this on the back. I'm just not saying the answer because this is obvious. No, it's not glue. It's adhesive. Jeez.
Oh man.
All right, number 32. It begins, blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven. I think I'm 0 for 4 so far.
I am not even trying.
These are pretty tough, dude.
All right, this one's easy. Actors who write, he co-wrote Good Night and Good Luck. Apparently it was George Clooney. Sure. All right, Theater for 100. Takasuko by Ziemimoto Kiyo is one of this country's most famous no plays. All right, Spiriax is back.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Now the game doesn't want to start.
Well, at least you're here. You can participate in trivia.
Yep.
Yeah. So, think we can. I'm wondering like if the sound is gonna die out again, or if I should just go with emulator for the run. If there's whenever there's like a huge portion of white on the screen, both my CRT and capture card like doesn't work during that time. Like everything just flickers. It's weird. And if there's like a place where you can do it back and forth, we'll see if the sound is still playing.
We should probably just go with emulated then. It's only like 2 minutes difference, right?
Yeah, I think it's a little more than that actually.
How much more than that? I mean, your estimate's like 5 hours. You have how much leeway?
Yeah, actually, like the first time I played on fast disk speed from going from emulator, I saved like 15 minutes.
Gee.
So, and that's like only the first run, so it's pretty significant. But I had the flicker happen a few times. The sound is still there, and like as I said before, this usually doesn't happen with the sound dying out. What happens if I go to the where you load saves? What happens if I exit the screen? I think everything's gonna go white. No. Yeah, okay, it did. Maybe we should just go again.
You still have game audio?
I do, and I got the flickers a few times, and I was thinking like, if it happens sometime during the run, I can just save and restart.
Okay.
That would be annoying, but that's a solution I can think of.
Yeah,
so
I
that's
mean,
actually. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, for the stream, like worst comes to worst, we can just like play the soundtrack or something. But I presume that would be kind of annoying for you to not have game audio.
Well, I'm listening from my own CRT, so that would be fine for me. But I'm thinking more like. So I'm gonna go again. I'm actually gonna do a countdown this time. So
put your stream up if you didn't already.
Up. Oh, it's on the okay. Just tell me whenever you're ready.
Do you have your stream back up yet?
Yeah, everything's back up.
It's offline for me.
Okay.
Are you possibly going to your normal stream instead of CalFire 3 again?
Oh. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I opened OBS instead of Tachyon, but I guess that's to be expected when both programs are exactly identical.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
So now I should be live.
All right, might take just a moment or two to show up for us.
All right, I see it.
There it is. All right, just give us a moment.
Yep.
Okay, Yaga looks like he's good. All right, I think we're all good to go.
Yep, looks good.
Okay. So I'm gonna do the countdown.
Okay, yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Welcome back to Alundra, folks. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It happens sometimes. Good old console game streaming. So, Alundra, a Zelda clone, let's say, for PlayStation 1. The initial part of the run here is on a ship. You might remember this from last time. We have control of the character for about a minute and a half or so for the first bit. There's actually a speed tech starting right at the very, very beginning of the run, but I'll explain the speed tech that he's doing later because we'll have a better look at it. But essentially what he's doing here is he is advancing the plot by talking to two specific NPCs. First one he goes to is this random sailor in one of the holds here. And then he goes and talks to the captain twice to set the flag so that he can just go to bed. So that's all he's really doing here. You might also notice that this is the Japanese version of the game. This was originally released in Japanese and was ported over to, or translated for the West by Working Designs. Working Designs made several other changes to the game, as well as translating it into other languages besides Japanese, and we'll get to those later. But right now, once he gets in bed, this is kind of the end of the first bit where he actually has control. So this is kind of an auto-scroller for the next few minutes. This is when they just big old plot dump happens. So this is where we find out that Alundra has the ability to enter the dreams of other people. and that's essentially his whole reason for being called over from his homeland over across the sea to some island somewhere. I guess it's on an island is where the story takes place, and the village of Anoa. So this is spooky ghost Lars, who is talking to Alundra in his dream, and telling him that the town where he's in is having some real bad problems with people dying and dire things happening around the village. So that's essentially the main story of why he's brought over. Yeah, this game is a bit like Soul Blazer. It's really similar to the Landstalker games on Genesis and Mega Drive. So Landstalker, Lady Stalker, Dark Savior on Saturn. It's I believe it shares some staff between those games and this. So if you liked those on Mega Drive and Genesis and Saturn for Dark Stalker, then you'll probably like Alundra too. So anyways, this is Lars telling us about all the bad stuff that's happening, and the dude on the left that's about to appear is the main antagonist of Alundra. This is Melzus. He looks a little weird now. You'll see why his feet look crazy a bit later on in the game. But this is essentially Melzus giving us the good old villain speech of "haha, you'll never defeat me," and then he spells out his plans for conquering the village and all that, standard villain stuff. So this is kind of an autopilot section. You technically don't have to press any buttons from the start of the sequence till the end of it. But for some reason, if you mash, it makes it go faster.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think it goes to the next sentence faster or something like that. It's weird. 5 seconds over the course of the whole thing, the intro.
Yeah. And we don't know why, but hey, it works.
Speaking about the similarity thing, I mostly hear Terranigma, but I usually compare it to A Link to the Past myself, just because of the dash.
Yeah, so there's a lot of games there. If you like any of those games, you're probably gonna like Alundra. So if you watch the Alundra speedrun here and you're interested in playing it, we're gonna do our best to avoid major plot spoilers, but any percent does most of the plot as is, so any big spoilers you're gonna end up still seeing. So if you're if you're interested in actually playing Alundra, a physical disc of the US version, if you're going for that version, is at least $50 on eBay. The Japanese version, which is the version we're playing here, is like $15 on eBay. And the PAL version is about 25. There is a very specific reason why we're playing the Japanese version, because it's about half an hour faster than the Western versions for various reasons, which we'll get to later on. Hopefully, we're still getting audio here.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear audio. We're good.
Watching the thing all the time. This is terrible.
No, we're good on audio. Okay, so what's happening?
Sorry, go on.
Okay, so the thing that's happening here is the ship essentially got shipwrecked, and Alundra got thrown onto the beach. We're assuming everybody else is dead that was on the ship, and we're saved by this guy.
So whenever it says no signal, there's nothing that you're really missing. It's because the screen goes white, basically. So, and you should just come back. So.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. It's mostly a cutscene thing when the screen goes pretty much all white. So it shouldn't be a constant thing. We'll just have to bear with it, folks.
Yeah.
So anyways, this is the house of Jess. Jess is the dude who saved us. As part of the deal for him saving our life, we're now his son. So that's the thing that happens. So he's essentially telling us that, hey, you're not dead. How about you go explore the village now? But don't explore it too hard, because you nearly die. So the little girl that talks to us outside the village, she's an interesting character. We'll talk to her a few times throughout the run. But she's got the ability to tell the future, I guess. So that'll come into play later. So this is God. who is this? Wendell? Wendell. So this is the old man on the bed is Wendell. He's currently stuck in a dream and he can't wake up. So clearly this is not a good thing. So the his family here are telling us that we should go and tell the wise man in village, or scientist guy. I don't know how else to describe him, but a man called Septimus, who's in this house up here, to tell him that Wendell's currently asleep and there's nothing they can do about it. So Septimus is a little depressed here because he thinks he can't help either. But then he remembers that the guy who taught him everything he knows left a book with all of his teachings up in another manor, and that sounds like a good opportunity to go do a dungeon. So a lot like the Zelda games, this game has a town kind of in the center portion of the world map, which is where we are. And surrounding the town in all directions is kind of an overworld. And then dotted throughout the overworld are some dungeons. So we're about to head to the first dungeon, which is Tarn's Manor. And it's kind of the tutorial dungeon in the game. So we'll see what's going on there. Alundra has a dash ability. He just has it straight from the start. So whenever you see him stand in one place like that, and then dash, that's actually just an ability you're supposed to have. What you're not technically supposed to have is turn in place while you're dashing. So here's Tarn's Manor. It's the first dungeon in the game, and we get a short little cutscene to start off, and then we get our first real combat of Alundra. So these things are called Murg. They are really, really annoying enemies to fight. And you'll notice that he killed the Murg in one hit there. So that's one of the differences between Japanese and Western Alundra, is that enemies have more health in the Western versions. So those things take 2 hits to kill rather than 1 in the Western versions. Another thing that he did there was he threw a crate at those jelly enemies that were just in that room there. You can generally one-shot enemies if you throw an item at them and hit them, if it's a breakable item. So a lot of the puzzles in Alundra have like pressure plates that you're either just supposed to hit yourself or throw an item on. Here's another one. Looking at these 4 switches here, it looks like you're supposed to put a barrel on each one, but instead you could just do that. So that's kind of the first little sequence break that we see in the run. So now he's just proceeding through the dungeon. In the next room after this is another fairly large sequence break. This one says 15 seconds if you get it first try. And this one is relatively difficult to execute. So let's see if he gets it. Perfect. Nailed it first try. So if you jump from the very far bottom right pixel on that ledge there, you actually have a few pixels leeway. You can actually just jump straight over to where the chest is and skip hitting all the switches in that room. So when you open up that chest, it's a mandatory chest for a health upgrade. You and I did notice that the little jingle that played there sounded a little weird. That's because we're doing this on a PlayStation 2 with fast disc speed turned on. What that does is it plays the audio tracks for the jingles too fast. And it ends the time where you have to wait for the jingle to end about 3 or so seconds faster than it would normally do. So this adds up over the course of the run because we hear that jingle a lot. So that's a good enough reason to play on fast disc speed. So now he got the blue book there. That was what we were sent here to get as part of our quest, and now he's just heading back to the village. So as part of the movement tech in the game, I mentioned that he's turning during these dashes. This isn't in the manual or anything. It's not like spelled out how you do it, but they do it in the little pre-recorded intro that they play before the title screen. So I guess they kind of intend for this to be a thing, but they don't tell you anywhere that you can actually dash turn. So to dash turn, you have to hold down triangle, which is the sprint button. You have to let go of the direction that you're going, and then after a very short amount of time, it's like 20 frames or so, you have I believe it's 7-frame window to choose a new direction to go or just keep going in the same direction, and you won't have to charge up your dash again. So that also adds up. I think I've actually counted how many times you have to do it during a run, and I think it's about 7,000 times or so. So that's 7,000 7-frame window tricks that you have to do throughout the course of an Alundra speedrun. So it really helps to get good at it. So here we turned in our blue book with Septimus, and now we entered the dreams of Old Man Wendell. So this is the first proper dream dungeon in the game. You can tell that we're in a dream sequence because the edges of the screen are hazy. And pretty much the objective of all of these dream dungeons is to help out the person who's stuck in their dream. So Wendell is currently dreamed that he's being attacked by slimes. So this is one of those dungeons that really shows off the dash ability in the game. So if everything goes right here, you should never see him bonk on a wall and never miss any of these switches. So I think it always looks really impressive when this dungeon is pulled off correctly. Another thing that he's doing here is a shoulder charge. Whenever you're dashing, if you press a button other than the dash button, he'll do a kind of attack. It's just a shoulder charge attack, and we'll get into that in the next little bit, why the shoulder charge is important if he's going to do the strat that I think he is. So there's a little mini boss. There's a ring of slimes here. These slimes move in a fairly predictable pattern, so this should be just about the same every time. Just like Zelda, enemies, whenever they're killed, drop health and money in the game, and the amount and the type of health and money that's dropped is random. So far, there's no way to manipulate that. So this is the first boss. This is Gelatinoid. This boss has a few different phases. The first phase is the giant Gelatinoid here. Then it splits into 2, and then into... splits in 1, 4, and then a whole bunch of little ones. So one of the things that Spiriax is doing here is a shoulder charge attack. He currently, as his only weapon, has a sword. Or actually, it's a dagger at this point, which does about 2 damage. If you do a shoulder charge attack, it actually does 3 damage. It takes your regular sword damage number and just adds 1 to it in this case. So it's kind of risky to do a shoulder charge into the boss, because if you do it in the wrong direction, you just hit the boss and it damages you. So it's kind of a risk-reward thing, whether or not you want to do that. It does save a decent amount of time if you do a lot of shoulder charges, but it's up to the runner if they want to. So another thing that he's doing here is when all of these slimes split up into smaller ones, he's making sure that they're not all splitting up at once, because the game actually severely slows down if you leave a bunch on screen at once. I was wondering what you're doing there.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I thought I was done with the fight.
Alright, he got him though. There's boss 1 down. So that was Gelatinoid. So we saved Wendell from his dream. This is essentially what we do for a lot of the game. We just go through the dream, save the person who's ever stuck in their dream by beating a boss in most cases, and then we warp on out of the dream. So there's probably going to be a no signal screen after every single dream, because that's one of the few occasions where there's a fully white game feed screen. But don't worry about it. And we still have audio, so we're good. So during this, Old Man Wendell's essentially just thanking us that he sure is glad somebody like us came around to help out the village. Though it is a little weird that this elf man showed up and is able to enter dreams, but hey, I guess everything's still fine. That was Giles that we saw outside of the house there. The house, or the village, has a mayor, but there's also a spiritual leader of the village called Ronan. And the right-hand man of the spiritual leader is this guy, Giles. And Giles saw that we just did something a little weird. So he told Ronan, the guy in the church, about this weird thing that we just did, and he invited us over to the church to have a little chat. So that's where we're going now. So this is the sanctuary. We'll be here a few times throughout the run. And the conversation here is, boy, we should really thank the gods for you helping out Old Man Wendell, right? And you say right. This is a but thou must question. So you're pretty much forced to pray to that statue there, and then you can just run on out. So now we're heading back to Septimus, so we can fill him in on all the weird things that happened in Wendell's dream. And the synopsis for this conversation is just Septimus saying, yeah, it's pretty cool that you can go into dreams. I bet this will come in handy later. How about you go out and explore a little bit more? But then, there's an earthquake. So in this, we find out that the coal mine has collapsed. There's a problem at the coal mine. So the dialogue is, hey, we should go check out the coal mine. So you think, yeah, we should go check out the coal mine, right? Nope, instead you're actually supposed to go to the mayor's house. And this probably gets everybody in their first playthrough. So here we find poor old Olin. Olin was in the coal mine working. And he's been knocked out. So now everybody's all concerned about what's going on here. But if only they knew what was happening in the coal mine. Well, it just so happens we've got Alundra here who can enter dreams. So that's how we're going to find out about what happened inside the coal mine. So the next little bit is a very, very short dungeon. It's kind of like a back-in-time dungeon. And it's got a pretty goofy glitch right at the beginning of it. So you're intended to go through the upper right door that's going to appear here, but instead he does something a bit different. Hopefully we can see it through the no signal. Right there. So he just went down to leave the mine, and it teleported him up to the upper right door. We don't know why that's a thing, but it's a thing. So here, I forget what this dude's name is, but he teaches you the very important, very difficult code that you're supposed to remember throughout the rest of the run. Left, left, right, left. Y'all better remember that. There'll be a test later. And that turns on the generator controlling the mine carts here. So here, Olin is going to show us the mining bomb that he's got to open up this door. And we got some Merg that show up. So you technically don't have to kill these Merg here. And we actually got lucky. Yeah. This is actually perfect that they dropped a bunch of health for him. So in that chest there is a gilded falcon. That's one of the few gilded falcons in the game that is permanently missable if you didn't pick it up. So if you're going for 100% in Alundra and you miss that, then, well, rip. You might as well load your save or reset. Because there is a 100% category for this. I don't recommend doing it, but that particular gilded falcon is part of it. So we found out what's happening in the coal mine here, and then Olin dies. It's essentially what happens here, and we run back to Septimus. If you're wondering how long 100% Alundra is, it adds about 2 hours to the length of the run. I say about because it's either 2 hours or infinity hours due to the RNG and one of the Gilded Falcons you have to get. I attempted to do a 100% run of this and gave up on the RNG thing after quite a bit. So we're just running back to Jess's now. So just like in Zelda style games, you get items and equipment throughout the course of the game to unlock new areas and methods to get through battles. So here's the first one that we get. This is a mining bomb. So unlike something like Zelda, the utility items such as bombs that you get in Alundra have infinite use. The only limit is how many you can have on screen at one time. So you can have up to 3 mining bombs on screen at once, and you can just keep throwing them out if you need to. So now we're actually gonna head over to the coal mine and find out for real this time what's going on in there. So here we're gonna see the item menu, and everything's always in the same place. So if you know where you need to position your cursor, you're good.
The thing about menuing in this game is opening the start menu and then like, oh, where's the cursor? There we are. Every time.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's actually a fair amount of menuing in Alundra, so real time can be saved and wasted by menuing errors in this one. So these are turtles. These are the worst. These are just the worst thing in Alundra. So hopefully they don't troll us too badly here.
I've gotten that RNG so much lately with the turtle blocking me there.
Yeah, a lot of the enemy movement patterns are just randomness, and it's sometimes it's not great. So here we got some more Merg to fight. These Merg were attacking this miner. So here he just tells us that there's other miners still left and gave us a key to advance. This is a money chest. That's 30 Gilder. Gilder is the currency in Alundra. 30 Gilder is just about exactly the amount we need for a potion later on, and that potion will make a boss fight much safer than it normally would be. So now we're going back. Hopefully y'all remembered that code before. Here's that quiz. What is it, chat? Left, right, left. There you go. A+, you did it. So that turned on the minecart. And the gimmick of the coal mine is that you have to use minecarts to go to separate parts of the dungeon here. Alright, this next room can be really trolly sometimes. Let's see what he gets. So the positions of the turtles in the southern part of this room can be really bad sometimes. Let's see what he gets, though. Yo, look at that. Amazing. Alright, so movement in water in Alundra. So there's certain parts of the game where your movement is restricted. Shallow water and sand. Before you have certain items, the quickest way to get across them is to actually do short hops. So that's why he's hopping across the water. And then on the way out, he can just dash across the top of those poles to get out quickly. Alright, so now we turned on the generator here. That opened a door that was blocking this, and he's able to take the minecart all the way down to the southern part of the dungeon. So far he's pretty good on health. If you're confused by the UI for the game, your health is denoted by the red diamonds in the top center. So the large one is worth 10 units of health, and the smaller diamonds are 1 unit of health. And the 11 is the maximum health that you can currently have. So we currently have maximum health, which is good. He's been getting good drops, and in the few occasions where he got hit, he pretty much got health back immediately. So that's pretty ideal here. Alundra can be a pretty unforgiving game to speedrun. This is one of those games that has a fairly unforgiving damage system, which we'll get into later.
Gonna grab a backup herb pretty soon here. Also a lot of health upgrades that I don't get usually.
Yeah, that's kind of part of the trade-off for speed and safety. Usually whenever I speedrun this, I hardly ever pass up any health upgrades because I know exactly what can go wrong. I just like finishing runs. There's some occasions in Alundra speedruns where you can go from full health to dead, like within about a second. Luckily, there's no real instant death things in the run, barring a few parts. But still, things can just go so sideways in Alundra speedruns that sometimes even that one extra bit of health can save the run from being completely dead. So there's Alundra is kind of cool in that there's multiple ways to solve a lot of the puzzles here. That is the quickest way to do this room. Normally, you're intended to push some boulders around and push some mine carts to get over to where that switch is. But as it turns out, perspective is really weird in Alundra, and what looked like an impossible jump is an easily makeable jump. Yep, it's called minecart skip. Exactly. There was some elaborate skip for all that, but as it turns out, you could just jump over to this this block that's just on the left, and boy did I feel dumb when I found out about that one. So here we're going off to the final part of the dungeon. And here's another bit where we do a seemingly impossible jump. I remember when I was doing this casually, I had no idea where to go from here. And the jump that you're required to make here looks like it's not even close to possible. So what he just did there was an item jump. And item jumps are going to be very, very, very important later. So that jump is fairly rough to get if you don't have an item over your head, and it's slightly easier to do if you have an item over your head. This, I assume, is a safety herb. Herb is just a recovery item. So we'll get into the item jumps later on, but for now, let's just leave it on. If you jump with an item over your head, it's slightly easier to make some jumps. So here for this puzzle, that's how you can solve it. It's the little sign there intends for you to hit those switches in a specific order, but you can just hit both switches at the same time a whole bunch, and it will actually just solve the puzzle. All right, now we're here at the end of the dungeon. This is where we see I forget what this guy's name is. It's Donkey Kong.
Zaza.
Donkey Kong. Yeah, Zaza. There we go. AKA Donkey Kong. There you go. He's gonna helicopter on out of here. So he just said that they were commanded by Melzus to find the sigils, I think is what they're called. They're basically just gems, and those will become much more important later on. Now we just have to kill these for Merg, and that counted as a boss fight for the dungeon. So there's a chest that drops down here. I believe this chest is optional, so it looks like he's gonna get it.
Yeah, you don't really save that much by skipping this one, but because for some reason the camera doesn't go down until a few seconds to let you leave the dungeon.
So the game blocks you from exiting south there, so you're pretty much just forced to go in this direction. And this bit is a little bit of foreshadowing for a later part, for one of the more annoying dungeons in the game.
Ryan, to get something quick.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of a autopilot section here where there's no input. So luckily, Alundra's got a decent assortment of built-in bathroom breaks for it, which is great because this is a pretty long run. So we got a bathroom break about half an hour in, and then a fairly long one after the next dungeon. And then pretty much at the halfway point, there's like 2 minutes where you don't have to do anything. And then there's a little bit of a break right before the final dungeon. So it works out fairly nicely. About 5 hours. So 4.5 hours from now is the projected end.
Very long game.
Yep, it's a pretty long. And I told you that we do about 7,000 dashes throughout the course of the run. I also can know exactly how many inputs that you have to do. And my PB is like 5.5 hours, and I think I'm doing inputs for about 4.5. So for most of the run, you're actually doing something. Thank you for the host and raid, by the way. I see that big old raid message. Welcome, folks.
It's amazing.
That's a lot of PogChamp.
Yeah.
So after the coal mine, we're just going back to town here. There's an NPC blocking the front door of our house. So all she wants us to do is go and talk to her, whose name escapes me right now, for another cutscene.
Table?
Yep. So this is the other like bit of the bathroom break here. So this is kind of a showing what could happen in the future, is what this is. So this is the hunter dude, Klein, and he's just walking around the village. What makes this cutscene a nice bathroom break is that there's pretty much no dialogue to skip through. We'll get into dialogue skipping in a little bit, because that's also part of the weird speed tech in this game. There's only dialogue right in the middle of this cutscene. And the dialogue is essentially, what's that? Oh no. So it's a pretty good cutscene. Alright, then it goes to the next bit of the cutscene. Where we see Donkey Kong and Company. I actually hardly ever see this cutscene when I'm running, because usually I'm somewhere else, not in front of the computer during this. Alright, so this is foreshadowing for much, much, much later in the game. We will get to this. Alright, so text skipping in Alundra. So a while back at the very start of the run, I told you that the Western versions of the game has 3 lines of text that fills in fairly slowly, and the Japanese version has 2 lines of text per text box. So in order to skip text in Alundra, you have to hold down the square button to make the text scroll quickly. You have to let go of square and then press it again to go to the next line of text. And if you let go of square too early, it'll just kind of stop scrolling quickly. So part of the speed tech is knowing how long each line of dialogue is, and there's a lot of dialogue in this game. And you gotta properly let go of the button, repress it during each text box here, and that also saves and loses plenty of time over the course of the run, as this is a fairly heavy, dialogue heavy game for the most part. There's no voice acting, so it's all got to be in text boxes. So we were told by our new father, I guess, Jess, to go and lay some flowers down at the grave of Olin, the miner who died earlier. So that's where we're going to go. And there's a little bit of a skip here in this next bit, if Spiriax can get it. So here there's a spooky ghost that tells you to go over to the right side of the screen. And if you do this quick enough, you can skip a text box, and he did. Well done. And this goes into Lars Crypt. This is the next dungeon here. So this is kind of half puzzle dungeon, half combat. So for this is kind of a word problem that the game makes you solve. It's going from what the spooky ghost tells you, you're supposed to work out logically the order in which you're supposed to talk to him. But the order is the same every time. And you can actually do this puzzle before you even know that you're supposed to do it. So we go down here and solve the puzzle before learning that we're supposed to actually do it. Yeah, it is spooky. There's lots of spooky ghosts in this dungeon. So now we actually go in this room in the upper right, talk to Spooky Ghost, and learn that we're supposed to do this Wise Men puzzle. And by doing it in this order, you actually save one less trip back to this guy. So that's why this is done in this order specifically. It's just a nice little optimization. Yeah, this puzzle wasn't easy. Like, for a lot of Alundra, you need to have a paper and pen handy, or just notepad on your computer. And if you're wondering, like, on average, how long this game is to do casually, it's 30 plus hours. Like, it took me 34 hours to play this casually. So it's not exactly a short game. All right, in this room, there's an optimization that Spiriax does here. There's some enemies that are going to spawn, and he pre-places items on the ground before they spawn. Oh, missed one.
Some bad luck.
Almost. Yeah, there's a bit of RNG to enemy movement here. So the when he talks to both of those plaques on the wall, it spawns 2 zombies and 2 of those Grim Reaper ghost things. And the zombies take a ton of hits to kill, so he kills one with a bomb on the left immediately, and then gets both of the zombies with a both of the ghosts with another bomb. And then, as we established earlier, if you throw a breakable item at an enemy, it'll just one-shot him. So that's how we got the zombie on the right. And if everything goes correctly, the 2 bombs should kill the 3 enemies in the middle, and he should one-shot the zombie on the right with the breakable crate. So here, the order for hitting.
By the way, for the good lucks and everything. Really appreciate that.
Yep. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for joining us in the good luck. So the order is the same for the pedestal things every time, so it's fairly easy to do. Here he's making sure to hit the zombies specifically with these breakable pots, because it takes, like, I think 5 hits in the Japanese version to kill them with your dagger. So you're 4 or 5 or something, and it takes forever if you just do that. So because it's a one-shot with throwing a breakable pot at him, he uses that for those. And then here he's just getting a chest. So I think I mentioned this way earlier, but for the new people, this is the Japanese version of the game. One of the big differences is they rebalance the combat difficulty between the Western versions of this game and the Japanese original release. So the zombies would take 5 hits in this version to kill. In the US and PAL versions of it, they take about 8 or 9 hits. And stuff like that really adds up, which is why the US version of the run is about half an hour longer than the Japanese version. So here's a little sequence break. He's going to grab this barrel quick enough that he can actually skip having to ride that platform all the way around the room again, and just jump directly to where he's supposed to use it. There is also a different way that we could do this room, but after a bunch of testing, we found out that it's not actually faster. But it's nice because it would have been a frame perfect / pixel perfect and maybe sub-pixel perfect thing to do the other way to do this room. Alright, so here's another little sequence break here. If you do this little bit here, you can read this sign and then get back on the platform before it goes back down again. Well, there's actually separate categories. The PAL and US versions are just a different category of this. So this is technically any % Japanese version. So here's same deal. He's throwing the pots at these to one-shot them a lot faster than just hitting them 3 times. Puzzle for this room is there's a thing on the a signpost saying that you got to go 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and then advance. And that puzzle actually, like, I think I spent 10 minutes or so trying to figure that out in the original playthrough. And then we're after the first boss. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. So he's going to do a really tricky...
Yeah, I need some serious time here. I got it!
Yo,
Yes!
perfect. All right, let's see some PogChamps in chat, you guys. That is so hard to do what he just did. So what he did there was a trick involving damage boosting yourself into a bomb that's already exploding, and then you're picking up a bomb over and over again from your inventory that is also exploding. So essentially, he can do max damage to the boss over and over again without having to wait for another bomb to explode. It is really, really difficult to do, and there's also a little bit of randomness thrown into that. So that's it's super impressive when it all works out, and that went pretty ideally there. So
Adding on to what you said, setting up the glitch, always gotta pick up a bomb and wait for it to explode, which is why a lot of runs tend to end on that boss, because if I have to heal or something, then the glitch ends and I have to waste a lot of seconds setting up a new bomb to do the glitch.
Yeah, like there's multiple levels of stuff that can go wrong during that glitch. So you might have noticed that he was going in different directions during all that too. That's how you have to keep it going. You have to throw the bomb and then press a different direction than what you are currently facing. Throw the bomb again, go in another different direction, and then you have to keep that up, all while trying to dodge the boss's attacks and keep up with the boss. And it is really, really difficult to do, but it saves a huge amount of time.
It is especially awkward whenever the boss goes away from you, because you have to jump towards him, like jump up, left, up, left. It's really weird.
Yeah. And that's fairly recent tech. Like that's one of the latest things that was found.
Yeah.
All right, so now we got a bit more plot stuff here. So the plot for this one's a little bizarre, but the characters we're dealing with are a little bizarre. So this is Nadia. Nadia's deal is that she, whenever she goes to sleep, stuff explodes around her, like furniture. They just blow up. Yeah. So that's not a good thing to have happen, clearly. And she's apparently, I think, either sick or dying. Some bad things are happening right now, and she is also madly in love with the dude next door, who in the US version is a surfer bro named Bonaire or Bronair. Apparently he's just a normal dude in the Japanese version, so working design just felt this character needed to be a surfer bro for some reason. And now Bronair is one of the villagers who's stuck in a dream. So we're gonna have to go save Bronair from his dream and awaken him so that Nadia can stop blowing up things with her mind. So that's pretty much the setup for this dungeon. Inside the dream, he's being seduced by a succubus, and that's most of the dialogue that we see here. The succubus is Sarah.
I'll see if I get a jump here early on. See what happens.
Yeah, there's a tricky item jump you could do here to save a little bit of time. So the other gimmick for this dungeon is that there's those dragons holding the orbs. Those cause the red and red and blue cubes to appear and disappear, and those block and unblock sections of the dungeon. So this dungeon, it might look really complicated, but it's fairly straightforward. There's a few hidden things that you have to know are there, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. Up until the boss. So there's the first use of a magical attack. That's what those boulders were for. So instead of having to manually go after all of those slimes, he just kills them all at once. Yeah, the English script is it's pretty good. Ronair has some of the best dialogue in the Western versions. So all that's going on here is she's leading him over further into the dungeon. So up north is another optional health pickup. Like if you this game has a task, and if you watch the task, it skips almost every single optional health upgrade in the game. But for running the game real time, you're gonna want most of these health pickups.
Yeah, I usually skip that one, but because it's a marathon run,
Yeah.
of course, grab it.
Yeah, like for example, I did a marathon run of the US version, and I was got all the way to the final boss, and I got I got hit so many times on the final boss that I had 1 health left. If I didn't pick up one of the extra health pickups, I would have died on the final boss.
Oh yeah,
That's how rough this game can be. So here he's damage boosting through these zombies to just pass right on through them, and to go up to the boss. So this is the boss of this area. This is Sarah. Sarah is one of the worst fights in the game. Luckily, this is the Japanese version, and there's a little trick we can do in the Japanese version. So the boss has a few patterns. The first is to fire 3 shots, and then there's one of 2 patterns that we can get here. There's a ring of them, or just one of them teleporting around the room. So we got the bad pattern to start off with. And the speed thing for Sarah is that you can actually one-shot Sarah with a bomb, which is why he's throwing bombs at the clones here. There's also a safety strat here that you can do by using 2 casts of magic. 2 casts of magic will kill the boss in the Japanese version. But it looks like we're going with the bomb strat here. So ideally, you want to get a bunch of the ring patterns for the boss. But like a lot of things in the game, it's just completely random which one you get. We've tried looking at memory values to see if we can manipulate it, but no go. So he's getting bad luck here with patterns and also movement. The movement of the boss when it's in the single enemy form is random. Nothing we can do about that.
Come on!
And also bad luck in the ring form. This looks very familiar to me. This is usually how these go. Like sometimes you kill the boss with the first bomb that you throw. Sometimes it's just a nightmare. We'll get.
Still
Yeah, this RNG. Luckily, we have infinite bombs. This isn't Zelda.
There
We could
we
just
go.
throw bombs. Yo. All right.
I haven't had such a bad Sarah fight in so long. It's been months, I think. I think I've had like a kill on the first bomb like 4 or 5 times in a row or so.
Yeah.
That was pretty frustrating.
I
But-
think my record for Sarah phases is like it's either 13 or 17. Like, that's how bad it can just be. Just welcome to Alundra. If you've been watching the run and thought, "Hey, this looks cool. I should give this run a try." Hopefully you still think so after seeing that fight. It usually doesn't go that poorly. And again, there's also a consistent strat that you can do. Well, okay, mostly consistent strat. So if you use 2 casts of magic, you can also kill Sarah, but sometimes the magic just doesn't hit Sarah because she warps away. And that's when you get steam coming out of your ears. So in the US version, this is where one of the best lines of dialogue in the game is. Unfortunately, this is the Japanese version and no fun allowed. But we save Bronair from his dream. though we also find out that Nadia was killed because we saved Bronair. I'm largely okay
the
with this.
demon that was in Bonair's dream like went to Nadia instead.
Yeah. Well, we still have Bronair. We're good. All right. So far, we haven't done that much, like skipping content in the game. That's about to change. We'll get to that in a bit, though. So we've learned earlier, I didn't point it out, but we learned earlier that kind of our overarching mission of Alundra is to collect these gem things to unlock the final dungeon of the game, and we need to go find more of those. That's essentially what we need to do now. This is kind of the point in the game casually where you can go off and explore on your own for a bit, kind of like a Zelda game, where you don't need to advance the story if you really don't want to. But since this is a speed run, we're going to advance the story. So it looks like he's going straight to the little sequence break we're about to do. There's multiple ways you can do this. The route that I take goes and gets a magic upgrade first, but it's up to the runner. So earlier on, I mentioned in the coal mine that jumping with an item over your head lets you jump a little farther. Before we get to that, one of the items he got earlier was the flail, the steel flail, and that weapon is different from the dagger in that it attacks in a straight line, and it's also able to break certain objects like those blocks. So here he's about to do a skip called the item jump skip. All right, good luck. Yo! First try. Well done. Okay, so that jump is normally impossible. And he was able to make the jump with a very precise starting position, which we have a setup for that, which is why we were bonking off the wall. It looks a little goofy setting it up, but that is really hard to do and really important that you get that exact position. So he has to jump down with an item over his head for, God, I think it's like 25 frames. And then he has a 3-frame window to hold down and right to complete the jump. It's a 1-frame window if you hold just straight right. So that is a completely unintended jump to do, and it gives us access to that part of the game way earlier than we should. So we didn't advance the plot there, but what we did was we got the Earth book that was in that chest. The Earth book was the big deal that skip was about. This also completely skips the Cliffs of Madness, so if you hated that part of Alundra, you never see the Cliffs of Madness in the speedrun. Even in 100%, you never see it. And this gives us access to the north part of the desert earlier. So it skips a fair amount of stuff. And then this part, you might remember casually, figuring out all of the methods through this part, and all the tricky jumps that you have to do. And this is not quite done as intended either. So in this next room here, it's important that he exits the screen from a very particular position because it lets him do this. And skip that screen entirely.
It's amazing.
It's so good. And now we're in the Ancient Shrine. So this is kind of the first like dungeon that tests you as an Alundra runner, really. Most of the dungeons up until this one have been pretty straightforward. This is the first one where death awaits around almost every corner. There's a lot of really complicated stuff that you have to do here.
That was funny throw.
Yeah, some of the collision for throwable objects can be weird. It can also softlock you in some weird occasions too. Adding on that this dungeon is pretty horrible. So this puzzle drove me nuts casually.
I screwed up.
Like, I think it took me a few minutes to realize there's probably something hidden behind there. Welcome to Alundra perspective, folks. So the gimmick of this dungeon is that there are 4 statues that we need to talk to. There's 2 in the interior portion of the dungeon and 2 outside. This is a little skip here. If you step on any of the darker colored panels on that floor, most of the doors in that room will close and you have to go back and reset the room. These things are zombie enemies, and those things hit like trucks. So he's taking care to avoid those. If you are going to be hit by one of those, you need to be hit by the body and not by the little hook thing that they throw out, because those do a ton of damage. Like, I think you die in about 3 hits from those things. Here, if he gets hit by any of the worms here while he's holding the rock will break, and then he has to reset the room to go get it. But it didn't break, so we're good.
Gotta be really cautious there.
Yeah, the as we said before, the movement patterns of enemies in this game are, for the most part, random, and care has to be taken sometimes. Like here, you can see the randomness of these worms. So if you just hit these worms with the sword or the flail, it takes 2 hits, and after the first hit, they go back underneath the sand, and it wastes, like, I think 5 seconds is how long they're underneath the sand. So if you can kill them in 1 hit, ideally you want to do that. So there's the second statue out of 4.
Cool.
And the next one is around the right side. Yep, sandworm. Somebody get the Muad'Dib on the phone. The spice must flow. So here you don't need to use a barrel to get through there. You can just jump and go past the puzzle. Here there's a little shortcut in the upper right that you can unlock, but we don't need it, so we don't have to do that. Alright, this room can be pretty annoying sometimes. So we have to push the pillar to the left, but not too far to the left, because we need to be able to get around the left side of it to push it down again.
Alright.
Alright, looks like you got it. And we also have to push it far enough left that we don't get hit by these big spike balls as we're pushing it down the room. So this room can be really, really tricky. Alright, now we got the B room. Everybody's least favorite room in the Alundra speedrun. The B room. So the Bs also have fairly random movement, and this one's being a jerk.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is the V room. Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
The little tease there.
Welcome.
There we go.
Alright, got him. Alright, here's a little skip there. So you can actually bounce the barrel off of the invisible wall in front of that to bounce the barrel up to where the switch should be, and it saves a bunch of time. Here, the directions where the barrels drop down is dictated by which direction you're facing when you hit the switch, or it's actually like a second after you hit the switch. This room's on a timer, and luckily there's a bit of leeway, so it all works out. Alright, and this gets us over to the third of 4 statues.
I guess since it's a marathon run, there has to be something I've never done before.
Here, look at that. He got hit once by the hook from one of the zombies there, and he went from 14 to 9, so 5 points of damage. If he gets hit 2 more times by the hook, he's just dead. And unlike Zelda, if you die in Alundra, that's it. Unless you have a nearby save point, and we'll get into dying in Alundra a bit later because it will be a thing. You will actually see us die in this run. If you die and run out of health, that's it. That's it for the run. That's another amazing part of speedrunning Alundra. That even though this game is extremely difficult, if enough things go wrong, the run is just over. It's not like you lost time, it's just the run's dead. And it's just, it's a really disheartening thing when you're learning the game. But luckily there are some things you can do to make things safer. But still, some parts of the game, you'll just, if you're gonna get wrecked, you're gonna get wrecked. Alright, so now we're in the basement of the dungeon here, and this is where things get even more difficult. So just like a lot of other games, there's damage boosts that you can do, especially in this. So if you face the opposite direction of where you want to go, you get pushed in the right direction. Yep, and that went well.
Oh, what?
This one. Okay. So you need to kill all of those worms in that room in order to be able to advance. This puzzle's the same every time. Yo, got it.
I was a bit lucky though, because I was
Still
too early on the last one.
So those panels that are lit up have symbols on them, and you need to match the thrown object onto the symbol on the flashing panel.
Oh, what?
There's some more random enemy movement for you. Alright, you good, you got him. So
Okay.
that zombie in the upper left moved just out of range of the bomb before it blew up.
Okay, I'm gonna need some serious time here.
Okay.
There we go. Whoa.
No, got him.
That
That's
felt
also
good.
really hard to do. So the order in which you're supposed to put those objects on there is pointed out on the back wall of those rooms, and you can do it fairly easily first try every time. Also, this was a boss, so this is the first occurrence where we fight fight a boss with the Earth Book. So the Earth Book is the magical spell that we got way before we were intended to. It does a ton of damage, and it costs us just as much MP as any of the other spells do. And by having the Earth Book, that fight is about a minute faster than it normally would have been. So here's another puzzle that where the barrel falls is determined by which direction you're facing. So we just do that to complete the puzzle quickly. This is just a little maze that you need to just not fall in the holes. I've yet to do a marathon run of this where I didn't fall in at least once, so let's see if we can if we can have one of those. So far, so good. Because it's actually tougher than it looks to do this. He's also doing sprints during some parts of this, because pretty much only a task can properly sprint through all of these without bonking.
Alright.
Nailed it. Perfect. Okay, so in the next room is another little RNG section here. So here there's going to be 8 of those mummy enemies that spawn in this screen. And we need to kill all of them before we can advance the plot here. So ideally what's going to happen here is he's going to run down a little bit, use the Earth Book, and it's going to hit every single one of these mummy things. That's totally what's going to happen, so let's see him do it.
Come on, Earth Book. Wow, that was bad.
Okay, so that wasn't quite all 8. We'll take 4 though. I think I've seen worse before. So we just have to finish off the rest with the flail here. The flail is what you want to use here because it has a slightly longer reach. All right, got him. So that is the ancient shrine complete. We survived it. By the way, I didn't point this out earlier, but on the UI in the top right, those crystal things are the amount of casted magic that we have. So right now we only have enough magic to cast one thing. In a bit, we're going to get a magic upgrade so that we can cast more than one spell without having to refill. So there we upgraded our dagger into a sword. These are the long boots. Guess what those do? And then we also got a health upgrade. So now we're off to the next dungeon, which is the Coastal Cave. So that item there is the sand cape that just lets you go underneath the sand. It's
Oh, God.
not super. Yep, the Coastal Cave. We'll see how that one goes. I really don't like doing the Coastal Cave in speedruns. All right, so while he's going there, let's point out again that this is a charity fundraiser marathon for the Cal Fire Relief. And I can tell you that it is a good cause. I've lived in Southern California for almost 30 years, and I've had to actually evacuate 3 times before, so the wildfire threat is real, and it sucks for anybody affected by it, so your donations do go to a great cause. So thank you, all donators. So there is the first magic upgrade that we get. We got one before at the end of Lars Crypt, and we just got another one there. The route that I use gets that before I go to the Ancient Shrine, because I like having the double magic cast. So now we're just going along the beach here. Before you do Ancient Shrine, you want to you actually can't go down here before doing Ancient Shrine, which is why we do things in this order, because the high tide is up. So here, good. Oh man, I didn't even know that was a strat. Oh man, yo. I'm 31. Vaughn. So there's all kinds of tech going on here. This skips a cycle.
86?
86.
Okay, same as me then.
Oh no, 85 for me. I was
Okay.
wondering, like, what? Yo. Not getting the log here.
Yeah. Okay, well, he was... just wanted to go by, I guess.
Alright, so that key that we got opens up this door, where we got a few puzzle rooms here. Objective of these puzzle rooms is to light up 3 crystals that are just in rooms there. I had, before I did the speedrun of this, I had no idea you could jump up on top of those blocks there to get over to that crystal there. That one you can just hit from there. We have to hesitate for a little bit before leaving the room. If you leave too early, the game doesn't set the flag of that gem lighting up. You can one-shot turtles with a single bomb. As long as you throw the bomb on the turtle, it'll just kill it immediately. And then we head on down to the gauntlet.
Wah! One more hit, I'm gonna heal.
So this part can be pretty tricky. We got 4 sets of enemies to go through. First is turtles, second is mudmen.
Ah, that's too bad.
All right, and if you fall off of the top part of that that gauntlet area, you have to go back and reset the entire room in order for things to respawn. because the objective of this room is to get the chest that's in the north part of this room to fall down so that we can access the item that's in it. And if you don't complete this this part before the chest falls down, or at least you don't get to the last phase, then there's no way you can hit these switches. So there we go. That's the last phase. Chest drops, and we get it. So we got the long boots earlier. That let us move at regular speed on sand. And now we just replaced them for the, I think these are the merman boots. And those let us walk in water. And also swim, more importantly.
Oh.
So now we're heading back up to the top level of the dungeon here.
Okay, well, I usually jump up there.
Yeah, that guy's in a bad spot.
Shouldn't go for that jump.
So yeah, the enemy movement here, random. There's a little bit you can do to manipulate the enemies, and you can actually hit them through some obstacle. So we're heading over to the right here. There's actually a very important sequence break coming up here. So I'll point out that a lot like Zelda games, you have to use keys to open up doors, and the keys are general in Alundra. If you get a key in one dungeon, theoretically you can use that key in another dungeon to just open up a door. Normally this is not a thing because the game is structured in such a way that you can really only do one dungeon at a time, and they don't allow you really to skip doors and save keys. However, the logjam skip was developed. So we got a key a few rooms to the right. We have one key in our inventory right now. Spiriax is going to do an elaborate skip right now to keep that key. Okay, so far so good. Yo,
All right.
First try. All right, more PogChamps, you guys. That is so hard to do. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong in that skip there, and he just nailed every single step perfectly. That is really impressive. So what happened there is he just skipped an entire part of the dungeon by a very elaborate setup to jump onto the very far edge of a thrown log onto a little island to jump around an invisible wall that kept us out of part of the dungeon. This is also really hard to do, and he just nailed this first try.
If I get this jump.
Oh,
Okay.
you got it. Oh man, this is amazing, you got it. So that is also, I think it's like two or 3 frame window to do that quickly, so that is also extremely impressive. Where were we? There's so many skips in so little time in this dungeon. So this is all intended here. So essentially, all the bottom line for what we did with that elaborate skip was it let us keep a key that normally we would have used. That key will be important later on. So here we're getting a little extra chest here that has an item called the Wonder Essence. Wonder Essence is like it's close to I guess a fairy in Zelda, or a Phoenix Down, an auto-use Phoenix Down in Final Fantasies. Whenever your health gets to 0, it automatically revives you, and if you just use it in your inventory, it also does the same thing. It completely refills your health and magic. So now we're just heading down to the boss of the area with our 1 extra key. So we get another life up here. And this is a blue potion. So there's the 3 main healing things in Alundra are 1-use items. Well, for the most part. There's 2 1-use item potions that you can get, a green potion and a blue potion. There's also herbs. And you can have up to 9 herbs to restore a random amount of health by a certain bit. Here's a little visual bug that he's doing there. There's a lot of goofy things like that.
Whatever. Don't want to fall down.
You got it though, a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the boss. This is Watcher in the Water. This boss used to be pretty horrible, and there is a bit of RNG to this boss. Hopefully, he gets good patterns. So there's a few things the boss can do. For starters, the boss shoot these little like columns of arms up out of the water that can hit you. The only time when you can damage the boss is when the main body comes out of the water. Here is a pudding attack. There's one. Count along with me, chat. There's one pudding. If the boss is shooting puddings at you, it's almost. You can't damage. And there almost showed one of the, let's say, downsides of using the Earth Book, is that sometimes the Earth Book spell can miss. So that's like the ultimate troll that the game can do. Oh, there's 2 pudding. So normally we just have the Earth Scroll at this point, and the Earth Scroll is pretty much guaranteed to hit the target that you're going for. Earth Book, there's a little bit of randomness. So there you got the boss. It's 4 hits in the Japanese version with the Earth Book, and he only had 2 puddings. That's pretty good. I think one of my runs I had on the Japanese version, like 11. I had double-digit puddings once. It can just start dumping puddings on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So our reward for defeating the boss at the end of the dungeon is another spooky ghost. This is a different spooky ghost, because the other one was blue. This one's gold. And Spooky Ghost is telling us that, hey, I'd love to help you, but the gemstone that was here, it's already been taken. Whoops. So instead we get the Earth Magic, which the Earth Magic used to be a lot more important in the speed run, but now it's just kind of a thing that we need in order to advance the plot. Ah, these puns. Alright. So now we're heading back to the village for some more plot stuff. Alright, now's a great time for the donation, Yakima.
Alrighty, thank you very much. So we received $20 from C:/, and the comment reads, Spiriax, Puri, and a good cause. Best run ever. Thank you very, very much for that donation. That is really appreciated. And,
Thank you.
Well, I'll give it back to Spiriax and Puri with this amazing run commentary. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you again. As always, the donations go to a great cause. Thank you. All right, so we're back in the village now, checking in with Septimus, and the hot new news in the village is that there's a new face in town, a new very tiny face with a very large head, just like Alundra. So there is another Dreamwalker that showed up, and her name is Mia, or Maya, or Mia, however you want to say it. So she just helped out old lady here with her dream problem. And people are just thinking, wow, it's real weird. There's 2 Dreamwalkers in town now. So Mia's going to be pretty important for the story later, but this is essentially all that's happening here.
They have a little bit of a conflicting view as to how to solve the nightmares.
Yeah. So there's a few points in the game where Alundra just goes to sleep, and you get your health and MP back during these little sections. So there's spots in the speed run where we don't have to worry about having to get our MP and HP back ourselves, because we just get it back as part of the plot, which means we can use specific strats during some sections, because we don't have to account for going to the store and getting a potion or something, or getting a drop. So here we're rudely awakened in the middle of the night by a hunter trying to kill us while dropping on our bed. So we go outside to chase after him, and then Septimus's plan is, hey, let's just go look for him. So Septimus says, I'm going to go search off to the left. You go search off to the south. All right? Good plan. But what you actually have to do is go off to the left, because that's the only place that you can go. So we're just searching for the hunter here. If you're playing this casually, that house right there is a very, very useful house in a casual Alundra playthrough. If you're ever lost in the game, I suggest going to that house and talking to the person inside of it. It will be very helpful for your playthrough. And it's not actually mentioned in the manual that it's a helpful house. So that is my pro-casual tip for y'all if you want to play this. And I'll point out again that this is on PSN. So if you have a PS3, PSP, or Vita, or whatever, the US version is $5. It's the equivalent price in Europe, and also the Japanese version as well. So you don't have to pay $50 for a disc for this. What's in the house? It is a fortune teller who not only gives you all of your HP and MP back, they also show you a map of exactly where you should go next in the story, which is pretty useful. So here we're going over to Klein's house. Klein is all tired from trying to kill us all night, so he just went back to his house and slept. So now the next dungeon is Klein's Dream. And if you have played this casually before, the way that we do Klein's Dream is it's pretty good. So the dialogue here is just the mayor, Mia, and Septimus saying, hey, we should enter his dream and find out why he's crazy. That's essentially what all this is. Yeah, speaking of the original PS1 version, the North American version has 8 different versions of it. When Working Designs localized it, they made it kind of a special release. So if you're into collecting game discs and all that, there's actually 8 different Alundra North American discs, and I assume European discs as well. I'm not sure about that, but at least in North America, there's 8. There's only 1 Japanese disc.
I always forget where these spike balls are, so I always hesitate on the first one.
Alright, so this dungeon's gimmick is it's snowy, and there are 3 towers that each have keys in them, and we need to collect a key from each one of those towers to unlock the top of the central tower.
Coming up here is
there
really
8 different strats. Oh yeah. Let's see this.
Well, I didn't get it.
Rip. I've actually never seen that.
Great, huh?
That's amazing. All right.
First, I thought it was only viable for the task, but I found a setup for it. It saves like 1 or 2 seconds, but I just have to do it because it's so fun.
That's so good. I've never seen that. So the intended way to do that is to change the ball's direction by hitting the switch, the rotary switch thing, and use the boulder to break those big rocks blocking the way up. Or you just do what Spiriax did. Alright, so that's going to the top of that screen unlocked the doors to the towers here. And now he's just doing these block sliding puzzles. There's 8 different versions because they just have different art on the discs. It's not like the code is any different. There is a version 1.1 of the US version, but we're not sure in what way that version is different.
This is just a really fun dungeon overall.
Yeah. Unless it's your first playthrough and you're trying to figure out how to do this. Okay,
Yeah,
this part. Pay attention to this. This makes so much sense, you guys. Alright, looks good so far. Okay. What?
Got it.
What? Alright. So, we don't fully understand why that can happen, but it does. It's just cylinder things, you guys. So the old way to do that puzzle was, I think there's like 7 more moves you had to do to solve that or so. So that saves a lot of time. I think I still have the old way memorized. So here's another new trick here. This is called ledge walking. So there is a very narrow margin along the edges of these ledges where you can actually walk past obstacles like these spike balls without actually getting hit by them. So theoretically, you can do most of that room without having to even jump, because you can just walk right past most of the spike balls there. But that's also pretty tough to do. So on this, the speed tech is just jump slightly farther than farther in than you just walk into it. And it saves a little bit of time. This is kind of a different way to solve this room. Normally, you're supposed to put a pillar underneath that platform before it drops, but you can just do that instead, and it saves a little bit of time. These move in a consistent pattern and always start at the same starting positions whenever you enter the room. So if you do the same movements every time, you should get the same pattern every time. This is a little skip right here. Normally you're supposed to go counterclockwise around that room to get over to a spot to drop down onto that chest. But you can just do that and drop straight onto the chest from the right side. And it saves, man, probably like 20 seconds. A lot of seconds. So we currently had 4 keys right now, and we just used up 3. So we still have that single key left in our inventory from the Coastal Cave dungeon. Alright, and that was Klein's Nightmare. Now off to the boss. So talking to the statue here opens up the door and also gives you your health back. Menu.
Yeah, I forgot what I need for the boss.
So this is the first special HP value boss. So all the other bosses had could be damaged based off of how much damage whatever weapon or item you were doing to it. In this boss,
Yeah, I'm getting a really bad start here on the boss.
yeah. In this boss, the only thing that matters is how many times you actually hit it. It doesn't matter with what, just that you hit it a certain amount of times. So if you stand in the upper right and you do a jump slash on the boss, you can actually hit it twice before it sucks you into its chest there. And if you get sucked into its chest, it does a ton of damage. The other thing that can do is spit out those slime things. Ideally, you want to leave at least one slime alive, because that means it won't take time to spit out more of them. But the downside to that is that you can be hit by the slimes there, and they can get in the way of your flail between you and the boss. So there we go, we got the boss. Sometimes that can go weird. Like if the Earth Book spell takes a long time to hit the boss, that can make things mess up. And also sometimes he doesn't spit out slimes to start off the fight, and that can also throw you off, which is kind of what happened here. So it can be tricky. So this is Klein. Klein is now just a full werewolf. This fight can be cheesed. Like so. So if you get the timing right here, you can use audio cues and proper time to just do this.
I look at it as a back leg for a visual cue.
Ah, okay. There you go. GG. There's actually multiple safe spots in this part. If you actually go in the bottom right of the screen in front of the house, there's an invisible wall that the boss can't pass for some reason. So if things do go really sideways, you can actually just camp out in front of the house, and the boss can't even hit you. So there's another pro tip. If things go sideways, go back to the house. So unfortunately, we just maybe murdered Klein in front of the whole village. No big deal. They won't mind, probably. He was coming right for us. And now we go sleep it off. So as usual, we get our health and MP back after the fight and go to sleep. And another one of the general gameplay gimmicks is that every time a major event happens in the game, you get a new item, usually made by Jess here. So here, our item is the bow and arrow, which we're going to use a whole lot. Not really. The stock bow and arrow does the least amount of damage of pretty much anything in the game. So combat-wise, it's really not that useful. There is a potential bug we could use with it, but even then, it's still not really useful. So we're heading on down to the reptile lair now. If you played this casually, you might remember this dungeon being really, really hard. And it used to be even hard.
That chest is interesting because it changes the contents at a certain point in the game.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's also trees that drop items, apparently. I believe that was found relatively recently, that if you bomb certain trees, like hay in Zelda, it drops items. So there's a cycle he can make here by using a specific setup.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh well.
So you can actually skip a cycle of all these platforms going around in a circle. If you make it over there and then make the jump. That jump is really tricky to do. So here's why this dungeon is really annoying. You might remember these guys. So these are the lizard men. The lizard men can block your attacks. They move quickly. They have a fairly long-reaching attack. And they can also jump around. So they're really annoying to deal with. That went really well, though. That's a cool strat there with the bomb. So here we hit a switch off-screen with our bow and arrow. One of the many, many uses of the bow and arrow. It's going to be really useful.
Lots of weapon switching in this dungeon. Whoa. Sorry about that. Are you still there, Puri?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, okay.
I forgot I was on. Press to talk. Whoops.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I was wondering, like, if something was wrong on my end.
Pressing a button's hard, you guys. Sorry.
I'm glad it's fine then.
So, we've been doing most of the run here without any armor upgrades. So that's why Alundra runs in particular are pretty dangerous, because it's intended for you to get armor upgrades throughout the course of the game. And
2 cycle.
nice. That's also hard to do. We're intended to get armor upgrades, but because we got to go fast, we pretty much do most of the game on the starter armor. And as you go through the game, stuff does gradually more and more damage to you. So you're intended to get these armor upgrades that make you take 75% damage, 50% damage, and then 25% damage. By the way, we just skipped half the dungeon right there. So that door right there is where we use the key that we did with the sequence break in Coastal Cave. Alright, this is Reptilicus Maximus. This boss is horrible. Good, we got a 3-hit with the magic. That's really important. So this boss is really random, and the boss can heal himself. Yeah, nailed it. Perfect. So this boss, through no fault of your own, can go completely sideways. And with a combination of the boss dodging and magic not hitting, a lot of the magic can just miss the boss. And if that happens, you have to manually hit the boss with your sword. And the horrible thing about this boss is that the boss can stun you in place and then just hit you while you're stunned. It can jump up into the air, and then it's also constantly spawning regular lizard men around the fight. So at any one time, you could have 5 things all trying to kill you at once, and some of the lizard men can shoot bile onto the floor. So essentially, you could have up to 9 things to dodge, and any one of those things can take out a third of your health in one hit. So that's just a small example of how fun that fight is. And that fight used to be even worse before the Earth Book became a thing. Another hot casual pro tip is that the water scroll, of all things, is actually the weakness of that boss. If you don't already have the Earth Book, which if you're playing casually, you probably won't have it at this point, the water scroll is actually what you want to use against that boss. Sure, the healing spell, by the way, is what that actually is. So now that we got the gem that was in that part, there's actually 2 chests down there. The one on the left is the only one that we technically need, because that has the sigil that lets us unlock the final dungeon. The chest on the right has the fire magic, but we have no real use for the level 1 fire magic, so we can just skip it and leave the dungeon. So now we're doing some plot stuff before Giles' Nightmare. Giles' Nightmare is, it's a dungeon already. So Giles is also stuck in a dream, and even though he really doesn't like us, and I'm guessing we don't like him, we should still probably save him. He might be useful later. So we gotta enter his dream and figure out what's wrong with him.
It's a thing we wish were not a thing.
Yep. So this dungeon.
There's a couple new strats in this dungeon, actually.
Oh, nice. Alright, this will be a surprise to me too. Alright, so in this first room, it's kind of a little gauntlet. We need to defeat all the enemies here while avoiding this giant spike ball. These mudmen are horrible enemies. I hate fighting. They have a ton of HP. They can hit you from far away, and then when they die, they can also hit you. It's great. And then these things are RNG teleporters. And then if that wasn't great enough, Alundra also has mimics.
That's weird.
So he's intentionally damaging himself right here. We will see why in a bit. But it's important that he's at 5 or below health after that room. So here he hits a switch. He hesitates a little bit to make sure that a door opens later. That wasn't just like a mistake or anything. He intentionally waited. If you leave that room too quickly, then things break. All right, folks. Buckle up.
All right. Here we are.
So, here he is saving the game. This is extremely important that he saves the game here. So, what we are going to do here, this might seem crazy, but he's going to blow himself up. And we're going to get a game over. And then he's going to hit quick restart. That is the first quick restart we've done. So, what we are now going to do is blow ourselves up 20 times. We're going to kill ourselves 20 times on purpose. This is because there is an item called the Legend Sword that the only way to unlock it is to have used the quick restart function built into the game at least 20 times. There's a lot of conflicting information on the internet regarding the Legend Sword, but I've looked at the memory values in the game. It's 40 times, or 20 times. 20 times. Actually,
I have a thing on the computer to keep track of the death for me now.
Yeah.
I don't use that kind of paper anymore.
Like, I count on my fingers when I'm doing this, and a lot of times I lose count.
Yeah.
So this so you might be thinking, man, this is probably just a huge waste of time to just kill yourself over and over again. This is like 6 minutes or something. Well, the legendary sword is so powerful and kills bosses and regular enemies so quickly that we save about 15 minutes using the sword. So the about 6 minutes that we got to spend blowing ourselves up over and over again is easily more than made up for by how quickly we can destroy enemies later on. So that's,
because of how broken the sword is, it feels really far-fetched for there to be a better option, like with other equipment. But I still try to like do research and see if there's another way, because this is easily the worst part of the run.
Yeah. The reason we do not get the sword earlier is because we physically don't have access to the sword until about halfway through the game. There's actually a giant statue, or boulder, I guess, or some like statue/boulder, blocking the entrance to the area where the sword actually is. And we need an item, a power glove. It's so bad to get access to the sword. I believe we have a donation, so all you, Yagamoth.
Alright, just a very quick one. We received $50 from Caitlin Gatt, and there was no comment attached to it, but thank you very, very much. That is highly appreciated.
Hey, thank you, Caitlin. As always, all donations go to a very good cause. Thank you, all donators, again. So the sword, we're doing all the deaths for the sword right now. We could technically do this at any point, right up until we get the sword, but it just works out in the route best that we do it here. The other potential place to do all these deaths is in Bronair's Dream. Quite a bit earlier, is about an hour ago, would have been the other place to do it, and it's actually where the task does it. But for the RTA route, we do it here. And that's a lot of that has to do with access to the bomb and not having a Wonder Essence in our inventory. If for example, he saved the game with a Wonder Essence in his inventory, when the bomb exploded and took out all of Alundra's health, it would have just healed us to full. So that's why it's important not to have a Wonder Essence with you. And I have made that mistake before in a run.
That's restart number 15, by the way, so we're soon there.
Yep, we're almost there. So if you got to get up and stretch, maybe get up to your phone and shoot us a buck or two. That would be great.
That would be a great time.
But we're almost there. Hopefully the screaming sound effect has not been too irritating.
It's haunting.
That's actually part of the soundtrack for most of the Dream dungeons, by the way. It's not the scream isn't like Alundra screaming or anything. It's actually because the music loops each time you do a quick restart, and it just happens to work out that that you die right on the screen.
Yeah, the timing is amazing. Alright, so this will be the last one.
All right. This is a PlayStation 1 game, but he is running it on a PlayStation 2 with fastest speed. The fastest speed makes some of the loading times a bit shorter, and it also has a very specific bug with a music theme that plays whenever you get a chest item. All right, so now we're continuing on with the dungeon. This is kind of a troll dungeon. There's a lot of things that either have weird perspective things, or there's solutions to puzzles that are a little weird, and also some like traps that can set you back, and some tricky jumps. This dungeon has it all. It's also got the death grind and the screaming. So this is just an amazing dungeon all around. Alright, so here, we gotta go all the way around. Essentially, we're just going in a counterclockwise loop around all these. I believe this is the first dungeon where we get the ice pillars there. So those we're going to use to solve puzzles here. Good. Didn't fall down there. If you walk in front of those stone heads, it blocks off the exits here, and you need to redo the entire part.
Here's a new strat.
Alright, let's see this.
Works. No, I'm not sure.
Yo!
Oh, there we go.
The strat that I usually use against these guys is I stand up on the little elevated platform up there, because the shadows can only move on the same horizontal or vertical plane that you're on. And because there's only 3 tiles to stand on up there, there's only 3 places where they can be. Here's the first occurrence of the Sarah type enemies as regular enemies. These things are massive trolls. Yo. Alright, so here's going to get a Wonder Essence. That will come in very handy later. Reminder again that that's
shout
a
outs
full
to
heal.
Uzi Cody for that strat. The one with the 4 slimes.
Yeah. This puzzle took me an embarrassing amount of time casually to figure out. You only have to hit 4 switches.
Yeah, for me too. Just couldn't see the pattern.
Now this room has some tricky jumps in it. There's a lot of dumb perspective things going on in this room. Alright, got it. We intentionally damage boost here. Here, thrown items, again, will one-shot enemy. It took me a while to realize that we could just use these to kill these guys. It's a lot faster than using anything else to kill them.
So let's see if I... Whoa, what? There's another new strat. Wow, I got it.
That's really fast too, man. Alright, those plants, if you throw them about half of the time, they'll turn into an herb. So good, he got lucky on the herb spawn there. Alright.
Well, yeah.
And now if you thought a room with 2 of those teleporting enemies was bad, here's one with 6 of them. Yeah, he's making this look really easy, and this is not at all easy. Yeah, Alundra 2 is a very different game. It's closer to, I'd say, Brave Fencer Musashi in style, and Alundra 1 is more Zelda in style. Yo, got all of them.
I'm
Nice.
starting to get good RNG now.
Yeah, the RNG is going more in our favor now, which is refreshing.
Yeah.
Alright, so here is our refight against the Soul Leech. And this time, he actually has an HP value. So, we happen to have a spell that does a lot of HP damage.
Done.